In February of 2020, DDI, the world's largest provider of leadership development services, launched a global leadership research campaign. It was entitled the Global Leadership Forecast. They had no idea at the time what the world was about to face with COVID-19. One statement serves to frame all of their findings. Organizations are now gearing up for an era of constant crises, where if leaders want to succeed, they must also be ready to rapidly gain new skills and change. And ministers are not exempt from their findings. DDI's primary question, what is keeping executive-level leaders up at night? Number one on the list, the big burnout. Their data found that 86% of high potentials are at risk of burnout. And yet another study found that 91% of pastors have experienced some form of burnout. Number two, the leadership bench is empty. The percentage of organizational leaders who say they have a strong bench to fill leadership roles fell from 18% in 2011 to 11% in 2020, an all-time low. Number three, present executive-level leaders spend too much time managing and not enough time interacting and actually leading. Number four, 56% say that developing the next generation of leaders is their top challenge. Number five, only 19% of present executive-level leaders feel prepared to function competently in a digital world. This translates to 8 out of 10 do not understand the fundamentals of email, texting, social media basics, cell phone use, or internet meetings. This lack of skill would never publicly be admitted, even though it is glaringly obvious to those who interact with them.
Hey, Lori here. You're watching content provided by DOE1. Whether you are at the beginning of your ministry or seasoned, DOE1 is the premier location for all things ministry. Check us out at doe1.org. Now let's get back to your video.
In addition, research by the Ken Blanchard Company reports that people promoted into new positions are not ready to lead, saying that these people are usually promoted without the skills they need to be good at their new job. Most of you know that I've been passionately attempting to address issues like these for years. And now the Executive Committee is endorsing an intentional plan to address it as well. The ISSACHAR Process is a strategic process designed to help us train and develop exceptional leaders who strive to reach their potential and effectiveness in every minute of every day and every month of their ministerial calling and career. In other words, they're committed to lifelong learning. The ISSACHAR process reminds us of 1 Chronicles 12:32 that describes a select group of forward-thinking leaders who understood the times and knew the best course to take. I profoundly believe that leadership skills can be learned, and that this ISSACHAR development process can help anyone who, as author Todd Bolsinger of Fuller Seminary says, has humility and tenacity. I was taught at our Pentecostal Theological Seminary that the Church of God has deep Wesleyan Pentecostal roots. As Pentecostals, we are usually familiar with Wesley's famous quote, "Catch on fire with enthusiasm, and people will come from miles to watch you burn." But my passion for leadership development triggered a closer look into John Wesley's way of discipling and developing ministers. I found that he too, like the leaders of ISSACHAR, was a forward-thinking leader. For instance, John Wesley taught that while a person is transformed by the Holy Spirit, they are also trained with the assistance of the Holy Spirit. But Wesley also taught that ministers are born with natural endowments, and yet there are also necessary acquired talents that ministers should develop. In other words, Wesley was dealing in the 1700s with the popular question, are leaders born or are leaders made? His answer and mine, yes. It's not an either-or dilemma. The question requires a both-and answer. Leaders are born and made. John Wesley also taught his followers a principle borrowed from Exodus 12:36, referred to as plundering the Egyptians. And Wesley further explained that the Bible represents the matrix and filter for careful interweaving of material from other sources. Just as the Israelites gathered valuables from their captors before the Exodus, Wesley explained, so should God's people today collect intellectual data from wherever it might be found and put it to use in the kingdom. The truth is, we do spiritual ministry in a natural world. We need spiritual formation. It's foundational to our mission as Christians. But we also today, more than ever before, need leadership development. I refer to it as holistic development. Too often, training leaders for promotion and specific positions is either a superficial exercise or a process like shooting a shotgun at a target. We teach a lot of stuff, but we're never knowing for sure if we hit the mark. The result of both types of training simply throws people into the proverbial deep end of the pool, leaving them to learn on their own or to drown in the stress, anxiety, and ultimately burnout. The good news is that there are now processes and tools that can help us discover how to end the shotgun approach and begin zeroing in on the target, resulting in objectivity and specificity. We can give our ministers the ability to not only know what's required for a particular position, but we can also enable them to see individually any possible gap that might exist between where they are now and where they need to be. This gap is nothing more than an area for development. Several years ago, I was in Phoenix, Arizona, getting assessment training with TTI, Target Training International. At the end of my week-long experience, they shared other tools available to organizations. One strongly grabbed my attention and curiosity. It goes under the name of job benchmarking. Job benchmarking is a patented process that's used by more than 6,000 organizations to help determine the skills, the knowledge, and the key responsibilities needed for a specific position or a job. If the job or position could talk, it would clearly define the competencies, knowledge, and people skills needed for superior performance. And we now know that long-term superior performance is directly related to what is called job fit. And job fit, in simple terms, is having the talent, the skills, and the information that the job requires. Research into these skills and behaviors over the past 3 decades has revealed a set of 25 specific competencies that contribute to being effective as a leader or a manager. At that moment in Phoenix, I thought to myself, This idea could dramatically help our denomination and specifically our ministers. 83% of organizations say it's important to develop leaders at all levels, but only 5% have fully implemented plans to actually develop them. We want to change this for Church of God leaders. So we plundered the Egyptians. And with the endorsement of the Executive Committee, we've spent 2019 and 2020 researching, conducting 16 benchmarks, seeking to discover job-specific competencies and key responsibilities for the following 7 positions. Top-tier administrative bishops, mission state administrative bishops, women's ministry directors, top tier, women's ministry directors for mission states, youth directors, district pastors, and local pastors. We've had the assistance of the entire Executive Committee, 126 subject matter consultants, consisting of 6 states, our international youth directors, 37 state youth directors, and 2 teams of women. And 8 competencies have risen to the top concerning skills needed in a general sense across the board by all Church of God ministers. Number 1, diplomacy and emotional intelligence. Number 2, leadership. Number 3, appreciating others. Number 4, personal accountability. Number 5, teamwork. Number 6, conflict management. And number 7, resiliency. Number 8, time and priority management. In addition, based on research and my personal experience, I propose that we include training for 2 other competencies. Number 1, digital literacy, along with number 2, job matching and fit. Digital literacy is a competency that involves understanding how to use basic technologies and social media platforms. It also means knowing how to be a good consumer and communicator of information. Hogan Development serves more than half the Fortune 500 and is grounded in more than 3 decades of research. They warn us, be careful not to confuse present performance for future performance. 90% of those doing a good job now will fail when promoted. 75% of those promoted say that after a year in their new position that they would gladly go back to their previous position if they had a chance. The competency of job matching encourages each minister to take an honest look at how their experience, personality, behavioral profile, and their abilities fit a particular position, role, or church prior to making a life-changing decision. And it all comes down to compatibility. The most fundamental step a minister can take to protect him or herself and their family from being eaten alive is to deliberately and thoughtfully consider their fit within a position or a specific ministry role. This one undertaking can increase your chances of finding a church or ministry role where your gifts and vision can soar. Bottom line, no one takes on a new job already prepared to handle absolutely everything with ease. Nor do people continue indefinitely in their careers without needing to learn new ways to adapt to different people and unfamiliar situations. And March 2020 accelerated this reality. For example, My father had one job his entire life. He was a brick mason. As a baby boomer, I will have 6 jobs, they say, in my lifetime. Pastor, professor, missionary, CEO of a nonprofit, a trainer, consultant. 1 to go. But they say our children will have as many as 6 jobs at one time. Alvin Toffler, regarded as one of the world's outstanding futurists, said, "The illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn." Therefore, the foundational and overarching answer to our future success, spiritual vitality, and even our sanity involves a concept called learning agility, or learning to learn. Learning agility describes the ability to continuously learn and unlearn and to apply that new learning in new context. The super skill of the 21st century, then, is learning to learn. This idea is going so mainstream that some organizations are now appealing for their people to be learn-it-alls as opposed to know-it-alls. Learn-it-alls embrace humility, curiosity, and the very courage to say, "I don't know, so let's find out." Learn-it-alls turn the excuse "I'm too busy to learn" on its head by saying, "Let's learn to be less busy." As we move together into the future, formal learning like university and seminary education, even nano degree training like Leader Labs, will have to be part of your learning agility journey. But more important is viewing yourself as a guerrilla learner who will find growth opportunities from everywhere and everyone around you. The Bible describes the possibility of human potential, illumination, and even transformation. It's rooted in the theology of the Christian message, the very good news. And yet a sample of 4,300 employees revealed that 74% feel that they are not achieving their full potential at work due to a lack of development opportunities. The message is that God is for us and not against us, and that we have the opportunity and the mandate to fulfill our unique design and destiny. The ISSACHAR development process turns our research into a practical plan that will make a real difference for our ministers and ultimately for our denomination. It is a process, not an event. Lifelong learning is an intentional commitment and a journey. And our primary goal is to get this training to all Church of God ministers in a 2-year period of time. The process focuses on where our personal competencies and our passion intersects with the very needs of our denomination and our biblical mission. We believe that this development process will have a great impact on the kingdom and the welfare of our Church of God ministers.
Hey, Lori here. If you like what you were watching, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and click on the bell to receive notifications when new content goes live. You can find content like this on DOE1, the premier location for all things ministry. See you on the next video.